We are only a few weeks away from the 2024 NFL Draft, and the analysis and the over-analysis, it's far from over at this point. And over the last several weeks, there's been heavy debate centered around Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy and whether or not he is worthy of being a top 5 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. We're going to talk about that, as well as where each quarterback currently stands ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft in my rankings, right here on Football Scout 365. Now, as always, before I get started, I want to remind you to check out the website, footballscout365.com, where you can check out all of our written content, our NFL mock drafts, all of our NFL player profiles and scouting reports, the top 100 big board rankings. You can find all of that and a lot more on our website, footballscout365.com. Now, to really get things started here with the analysis, I want to remind everyone that Caleb Williams, he does remain the quarterback 1 in the 2024 NFL Draft class. In my rankings, in almost everyone's rankings, it is Caleb Williams as the QB1 in the 2024 NFL Draft. But now I've spent the last 3 years evaluating Caleb Williams. I remember his time back at Oklahoma when he burst onto the scene against Texas. That was an epic football game. He replaced Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler was once considered to be potentially the next Patrick Mahomes, and that's who Caleb Williams is considered to be at this point. His game is really in that realm. The escapability, the ability to make all the throws from anywhere on the field, on the move, the off-platform ability, all of those things. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it at Oklahoma. We've seen him do it at USC. You fast forward to 2022, the guy wins the Heisman Trophy. Obviously, 2022 was his best year as a quarterback. Last year, he was pretty much, the same kind of guy. There wasn't a ton of improvement, but there were a lot of factors involved. Obviously, USC's defense was god-awful. And Caleb Williams, he was trying to play so much hero ball a year ago that it had an effect on his development. But let's say once he is a Chicago Bear, because it's like 99% certain at this point that that's who is going to draft him in the 2024 NFL Draft. Let's assume once he's a Bear that the defense is playing at a higher level in 2024, and he's already got a nice setup offensively around him. Let's assume that the Bears get it together game plan wise for him as a rookie. I feel pretty confident that he's going to be in a situation where he will be able to play more often from the pocket and develop in that kind of way. But one of the great things about quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and I've talked about this before, is the ability to bridge the learning curve at the NFL level using your athleticism, your escapability to create, even when throws are obvious or there, or if a quarterback misses it as a rookie, for example, you miss your number 1 read or your number 2 read, or however it sort of plays out. That escapability, the athleticism can bail you out. You can still make a positive play, even if there was a positive play available early on. But again, at the end of the day, the big knock on Caleb Williams, in my opinion, and you can go back to the Notre Dame tape and really watch this, is he has to take what the defense gives him, get the ball out quicker in certain situations. That game, he was really, really pressing in that particular game, the 3 interception game. Just go back and watch it. I actually did a video right after that game, covering all of those interceptions that he threw and how one of them was really, really obvious. He passed on a check down. Another one, he was throwing off his back foot and he just sailed one down the middle right to a safety over top of an open tight end that was releasing down the middle of the field. So again, at the end of the day, there are flaws in his game, just like there's flaws in every single NFL draft prospect's game, but the talent is undeniable. And what this guy can be at the end of the day is undeniable. Now let's talk about J.J. McCarthy here. He is absolutely worthy of a top 5 pick. And as of right now, J.J. McCarthy is the QB2 in my quarterback rankings. And I've said it since 2022. This guy had QB1 potential in his game, but he would need to improve his decision-making, his mechanics, and he did both of those things in 2023 under the guidance of a dedicated quarterback coach in Kirk Campbell at Michigan. McCarthy's got the athletic ability. He's got the arm talent to be a very good or even a great NFL quarterback at the end of the day. I wrote about each of these top quarterbacks in the 2024 draft class just a few weeks ago. I provided the floor versus ceiling comparisons to paint a better picture. You can find that written article, by the way, over on the website, footballscout365.com. McCarthy's ceiling, in my opinion, is Joe Burrow. His floor is Chad Pennington. At the end of the day, this guy is worth the risk either way. And depending on where he lands at the NFL level, he could ascend much faster and become an elite level starter, depending on landing spot. If it's the Minnesota Vikings, for example, with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach and the offensive mind that he is, and the way Kevin O'Connell schemes things open for quarterbacks, the developmental aspect for J.J. McCarthy will be huge in an offense like that. I also wrote another article about each of the top quarterbacks in clutch third down situations in 2023. And J.J. McCarthy, he ranked ahead of everyone in clutch third down in obvious passing situations. I had it as third down in 5 situations for all quarterbacks in 2023, which completely shuts down the narrative that Michigan did not lean on J.J. McCarthy in key situations. NFL evaluators, they see the talent. Jim Harbaugh said he's the best quarterback in Michigan football history. Jim Harbaugh also said he's worthy of being the top pick in the 2024 NFL draft. I happen to agree with Jim Harbaugh on that. Now, the QB3 in the 2024 NFL draft in my rankings is currently Drake Maye from North Carolina. He's the QB2 on most NFL draft boards. J.J. McCarthy has overtaken him at this point, and it has more to do with the development year over year from 2022 to 2023. And I really honestly wanted to see the similar development from Drake Maye that I had seen from J.J. McCarthy year over year in terms of the footwork and the mechanics, all of that stuff that J.J. McCarthy was able to improve. Drake Maye didn't really take that next step, but you can see there is undeniable talent with this guy. This guy can do all the off-platform stuff, all the on-the-move stuff. He can do some crazy stuff breaking away from pressure. So when somebody actually has a hold of him, he's got like the Ben Roethlisberger gene in him where he can break away and power through a throw. He's got great pocket presence, just standing in there, making throws over the top of defenses. He can make any throw on the field as well. But again, there are inconsistencies in his game. And when you're able to get pressure on him, it can affect his game as well. And that goes for just about any quarterback out there. I know J.J. McCarthy, he actually is pretty elite in terms of throws when he's under pressure. Drake Maye, not so much in 2023, but the physical attributes, honestly, it draws a lot of comparisons to Justin Herbert. It's what I've always thought about him. He just resembles Justin Herbert in that way. He's not as robotic as Justin Herbert was coming out of Oregon. A lot has to happen with him developmentally at the NFL level, but again, he is another player who can overcome some of the developmental issues at the NFL level using his athleticism. I always like to talk about what Josh Allen was able to do when he first came into the NFL. It took him a couple years to really develop as a passer, as a guy who could read NFL defenses and get through his progressions properly and make throws. A lot of credit goes out to Brian Daboll, who created a system offensively that was easy for him to digest and allowed him to use his athleticism to escape pressure and make plays on the move, even when things are open. Again, like even if he's missing things, he can use his athleticism to escape and make another throw somewhere on the field to bail out the offense. So again, Drake Maye, one of my favorite prospects. Now, as for the QB4, it is Jayden Daniels out of LSU. I've got him graded as a high-end starter potential player. He's definitely worthy of a top 10 overall pick. Jayden Daniels actually graded out better than all of the other quarterbacks in this draft class in throws from the pocket in 2023. You combine that with the athleticism, the improved decision-making over time. I remember his time back at Arizona State. I remember first seeing this guy play and thinking, wow, this dude is really, really talented. Obviously, he went through some ups and downs, got through the COVID year and all that, and eventually the transfer to LSU, where he would win the Heisman Trophy this past season. The year prior, his first year at LSU, you could kind of see where Brian Kelly was kind of taking this thing, and it really, I'd forgotten how athletic Jayden Daniels is as a football player until the 2022 college football season, when he kind of burst onto the scene a little bit in that regard. And then coming into 2023, just absolutely took it to another level. He's drawing comparisons to Lamar Jackson. The one big knock for me with Jayden Daniels is the dude needs to avoid contact. That is something Lamar Jackson is excellent at. He's very elusive. When he's in the open field, he'll do what he can to get down or avoid contact. Jayden Daniels needs to develop in that kind of way because he's just too lean of a football player. I believe he's noted to be 6'3", 200 pounds, somewhere in that range. At one point, he was listed as 6'3", 185 on LSU's website or Arizona State's website. So if he's anywhere in that range, and some of the rumors about his inability to put on weight because of his metabolism, there are some things, kind of circulating out there in that regard. Outside of that, this is a really good football player. He's a very smart football player. So at the end of the day, landing spot, it could matter. A lot of people think the Commanders, number 2 overall, make a lot of sense. He could be, kind of like that Kyler Murray style player for the Commanders with Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. I could kind of see that being the way this plays out. There's more projections out there showing that he could be a New England Patriot, for example. A team could trade up to get him. I know in one of my more recent mock drafts, I had the Las Vegas Raiders trading up. I think this guy is going to go in the top 10. If he is the one who falls, I don't know which one of these guys is going to fall. One of them has the potential to fall out of the top 5. I highly doubt it, though. I feel like we're going to at least see 3 of these guys go in the top 5 of the 2024 NFL draft. Now, as for my 5th overall quarterback in this draft class, it's Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. I love Michael Penix Jr. I love what he brings to the table. He's an excellent thrower from the pocket. He is great at avoiding pressure. I had seen him against Texas. Texas was one of the best games that I had seen from him. Obviously, the 2 Oregon games were really, really good games as well for him. But his ability to kind of sidestep pressure in the pocket, keep his eyes down the field, and make throws down the middle of the field was just excellent. Against Texas, for example. Michigan, not so much, but at the end of the day, that was a generational defense that he was facing in Michigan. And CJ Stroud, if you go back to CJ Stroud against Michigan, for example, CJ Stroud struggled against that Michigan defense 2 years in a row. And he still put up big numbers, but he was unable to finish drives at the end of the day. Some of that happened to Michael Penix Jr. in the national title game against Michigan, and that was just an excellent defense at an opportune moment, a team of destiny, for example, for the University of Michigan winning that national title. But overall, the tape, the accuracy for Michael Penix Jr., in my opinion, very comparable to a Joe Burrow or a CJ Stroud from the pocket. I think that he's at or near his ceiling already, but let's just say, for example, that the Broncos or the Raiders still sitting there, they don't trade up for a quarterback. I'm taking this dude. I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. I'm plugging him in, and I'm going to see what I can get from him. And I know there's arguments out there about left-handed quarterbacks and, the blind side being the right side, and just trying to navigate and build your offense around that and changing your play calling, to kind of, center around that. I think that's a little too overhyped. This guy is ultra talented. The throwing motion, it's not awkward at all. It looks awkward. He's got kind of like that 3-quarter release throwing down the field. At the end of the day, this dude is mechanically sound. His injury history, I don't think that's a concern really anymore. He's had 2 solid years in a row. He's avoided injury. I know he was banged up against Michigan, but he was constantly taking hits late in that game. But at the end of the day, he's played up to the standard that you were expecting from him over time. And again, I think he could be plugged in somewhere at the NFL level immediately and contribute right away. And I think at the end of the day, he could be the best rookie quarterback out of the gate, depending on where he lands. If he lands in Denver with Sean Payton, for example, I feel like that's a perfect situation for him to step into. He'll have some offensive weapons to work with out of the gate. He'll have an offensive-minded head coach, and he'll have the ability to really kind of grow into that system over time. I know I just presented a ton of information, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments section of the video. Tell me who you think the QB1, QB2, 3, 4 is for you. Is J.J. McCarthy the QB2? Could J.J. McCarthy be considered the QB1 ahead of Caleb Williams? Are there any real red flags that would make you reluctant about drafting Caleb Williams number 1 overall? Would you maybe even take Drake Maye number 1 overall? Let me know in the comments section. Again, I love to reply. Let's get this conversation started, and let's head towards this NFL draft class and see how this thing kind of shakes out. At the end of the day, my QB1 is Caleb Williams. My QB2 is J.J. McCarthy. My QB3 is Drake Maye. My QB4 is Jayden Daniels. Those are the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft class. I do believe we're going to see 4 quarterbacks go in the top 5 picks of the 2024 NFL draft. All right, that'll do it. I want to say thank you for watching the video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, tell somebody to come check us out, subscribe to the channel, give us a shot. Let us know what you think about this video and all of our other videos. Go check those out. I've got a ton of individual player analysis videos. I cover every single quarterback in this draft class. You can go watch the individual film evaluations that I did earlier this year on each of these prospects. Some quarterbacks I've got 2 or 3 videos on, like Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy. I've got several videos on both those guys that kind of cover them in depth. Again, I want to say thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more great NFL draft content.